Okay, I think we're going to try and maybe get this bike done, or as done as we can with the parts we have. Highest cal, you know, we're just playing for like 2 hours. Done a little bit more to it since the last video. I sort of loosely bolted the brakes on and lubed them and tightened these little adjuster nuts on the front. These brakes are super loose, like a lot of old 2-nut, single caliper brakes are. And I made sure that all the barrel adjusters are smooth and greased and oiled and lubed them. Put the tires on. I sneaked and greased the hubs. You know what that is? Instead of doing like a full overhaul, you just open the hubs, wipe off the cones and any grime around the outside, and shoot some grease in there and put it all back together correctly. Like a quick tune-up instead of like a full overhaul. Which is all stuff needs most of the time anyways. I even started playing with this PT3 fender, and it looks like it'll fit these 28s and on this frame great, so I really might just throw them on like a jerk. Because Portland does rain most of the time and fenders are smart. So yeah, let's set it up. Oh, I put the chain on last night too. I didn't have to break the chain or shorten it or anything. With the 1x, this derailleur wraps plenty. And maybe the stays are a little longer or whatever, but it seems totally fine. I probably could shorten it a little, it wouldn't matter. But it turns all that fender. And it's like, no bro. I'll get that fender out of the way for now. Or should we just get it mounted? The first thing I'm going to show is a little toe strap trick. So you can see my stand, a lot of people's stands. You have lots of old toe straps hanging off on the stands for lots of reasons. This little trick I'm going to do is wheel to the frame so the bars don't spin around so much and whack into things and be annoying. Notice I'm putting the little strap down, which is not going to scratch the paint. Yay! I put this put the Dior shifter on. I figure we'll just set it up and see what's up. And if I want to change it to a thummy later, we will. Who cares? I don't have a matching lever for either side yet, but I'm confident I'm going to come across one. There's lots on eBay, so I don't want to pay way too much. I can definitely do that. There's a swap meet, and I haven't been to Bike Farm in a long time. Maybe they'll have one, or CCC. We'll find one. Oh yeah, I threw some new brake pads on, but haven't really adjusted them or anything yet. So I sort of moved the wheel out of the way, slap this guy on. Stupid recess nuts. I usually like to mount on the back on a nutted thing. I guess I'll just pinch it between the frame. Pop the recess nut all the way out. Slide the brake out. Really, I ought to do not miss installing fancy fenders. They are stupid. Don't fall all the way out. This PW fender has just like a metal bracket, like a Velo Orange style. We just bend the tangs around. It's got a little piece of clear stickum so you don't scratch this fender up. Gently just gonna bend these up a little bit so we can move this guy. What I usually do on metal fenders that don't have this clear stickum is take a little bit of cloth bar tape because it's sticky and stick it on there, or do a little electrical tape with duct tape. It'll wear out pretty fast. Just whatever, or you can just not care like most people don't. Can we just reuse this stupid stickum? Probably. Crappily, and this bracket will pinch it down. It's gonna barely stick, but whatever. Wiggle this pinchy bracket on. See if we can go on without just mashing this sticker everywhere. Removing the whole purpose for all of this. And I clearly went the wrong direction. Well, good to know. Let's try take 2. Sliding this bracket, wiggling it back onto this horrible sticker. It doesn't stick anymore. PW is a local company. I think they used to work with like Planet Bike and then started their own thing. And they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool in those ways they offer all their hardware and kits. I can get another little hardware kit with just the ends and maybe more of the sticker stuff and just brackets and things so you can save old stuff and use stuff, modify things and switch the hardware into other things. And I've always thought that was wonderful. I hate companies who just do proprietary things. They're like, oh no, you don't sell the hardware, you're just screwed. I think that's about the crappiest thing a company can do. Just buy new expensive stuff. That's pretty tight. I think that's going to be good enough. And this thing pretty much up as high as it'll go. Looks like the brake should function fully with it all the way up without hitting. Want as much clearance as possible for rocks and dirt and debris, and kind of loosely tighten it. Ooh yeah, let's slide right back. Nice. This bolt is way too long for this. Poke out into the cassette. I don't think it'll matter on this old 7-speed cassette much, but companies don't understand hardware at all. You need some short bolts so you can actually use stuff, not have it poke all the way through and run into your chain and cassette, especially on the drive side, sometimes under fork crowns or whatever. Oh, trying to grease this thing sort of after the fact, and it's not a good plan. One side done. Grease this other side. You should always put grease on things that you want to come back apart someday. Except for like carbon fiber, from what I hear. It's a big no-no trying to grease carbon fiber. It'll break down the carbon or delaminate it or some nonsense. I don't know, I don't mess with that junk. People ask me how you can own a bike shop and work on bikes for years and years and years and never have used 11-speed or carbon fiber. And the honest answer is it's really not a big deal. Guys who are into that brand new expensive stuff have their favorite roadie brand new expensive guy shops. And most little shops and commuter shops, I have to tell people no like twice. You brought in like carbon aero seat post bikes, wanted some internal bearing thing done or something weird. But no, we don't do that. Take it to whatever horrible roadie shop sold you this unserviceable piece of junk. And they're like, but you have to. And I'm like, well, no, I really don't have to. I don't have to do anything. Nice, PW things are cool because they have like a little internal stay with a big external stay and a set screw. So you can really cut them short, dial them in, and you just tighten the set screw down. And like I was saying before, they got hardware kits if you lose something for fairly inexpensive. What I didn't do was clamp these stays back on tight, so next time the tire's out, I'll have to get in there with some pliers and clamp them. Yeah, you switch the bolts around. The one on the non-drive side barely pokes through the eyelet. The one on the drive side pokes way through the eyelet. We'll come up here and this just takes like a little rubber bandy loopy dude. And I'll probably find some little short loopy dude or rubber bandy or spare part and hook that up, and this will be tight tits. Cool, man. Got a fender on, the bike's not even built. That's ridiculous. So it's going to show you, definitely here hitting that tire a little bit. Here's some sweet needle nose pliers. I got the little bins the other day. Keep your eyes up. People are always like, oh, you don't have any tools. You have all the tools. Well, I don't have all the tools, and I just find them wherever, and it's not a big deal, so keep your eyes out for tools. They're not expensive if you're patient and you keep your eyes out. These probably cost me $1 at Goodwill, because it's by the pound, the one I go to. Tight. Look at that. Fendort. And we set the brake. I'll probably have to mess with this adjustment a little bit. But that's cool. I'm going to show you this. So this rolls. I got the... Look at that. Changes overnight. When the screw's set up perfectly, and in the morning it's not set up perfectly. There we go, shift. Have to let it screw set up perfectly to hit some cogs. And this is the chain that came off of this wheel and has no miles, so it should be fine. Even in the highest, little smallest gear over here, it's got clearance on the chain ring. It's not hitting, so that's great. Won't have to do any adjustments. That bottom bracket puts it right where it needs to be. Got the old brake lever on, so I guess we'll set the cable and housing, and then maybe set the brakes, then maybe put a temporary brake lever on the other side. These all have like splits in them, and the cables can fish in and out, so we can probably just put a temporary one on there and then just slide the correct one on later in 2 seconds. I don't have to mess with the cable or housing or anything. So that'll be fun and cool. And then technically this bike's ready for a test ride. Slap a random saddle on it. So we're gonna finish this bike, this video. So we have some choices. I got a bunch of free black stuff, and maybe that'll look kind of good. It's got some black bits. I got some Jaguar like Shimano XTR gray, which is like kind of the frame color, but I thought I wanted, but it's kind of off. Nah. I got some purple. I got some white. I do love this color so much and use it all the time. I went ahead and bought an entire, mini roll of it. You'll just get it on every bike. It's just like bright silver, and look, it really does match the Prelude logos. Lightens the whole bike up, but is that right for this bike? This bike with all the black. I never pick black housing. I mean, never. Unless the bike's all brand new and modern and the screen's black, or the customer's always like, oh, it has to be black. I almost always pick this, or sometimes fun party colors, like a lot of scraps from different color kits. Party colors are super fun on your own personal bikes. Do just like a hot pink front brake and like a purple rear brake and blue or red, like whatever the partyist scraps that you got. It's my favorite way to do my own bikes. I should consider this. I'm considering doing the party paste grips that Russ from Pathless Pedal sells. And he's got a new sticker that says "Save the front derailleur." The word derailleur is spelled wrong. That'd be pretty hilarious on the only one-by bike I built in years and years and years. Put a "Save the front derailleur" sticker on it. So now I am considering partying with the housing colors. Oh boy. I got silver, I got white, I got black. I don't have a lot of partying colors. I got a little purple. Well, I have the least amount of partying colors I've ever had in my entire life. I did find my little bag of partying cable tips. So do I want to make this bike cheesy and partying? Or do I want to make it serious? Man, I can never decide anything anymore. Silver or black? I think I'm going to do black. That's just crazy. It's just crazy. Who does black? This is like a little Jaguar kit I get off eBay. You can get them for like 10 to 15 bucks in all the different colors. But they're always weird lately. Like they only come with brake cables, or they only come with shift cables. They have the housing for everything. I've been using regular steel, like galvanized steel instead of stainless, which sucks, but the housing's lubed. I'm going to lube it a little bit, and I'm going to ride this bike and keep it inside. It'll probably take 10 or 15 years for this to rust and look bad. You can always drip a little more lube down the housing at tune-ups and it'll solve it. So I'm not going to use the stainless because it'd be a waste of all these extra cables. Even though when I'm in the shop I only bought stainless, I only use stainless. I think it'll be fine for this. I'm really going to go black? I'm not going black. This is crazy. I'm going to go stainless. Some weird cheapy brands I bought off eBay. We'll see if they snap and kill me. I'm definitely going to go silver. If I had more colors, I would definitely go party. So I like to take the whole roll, or a big piece, or often a dead piece I lay on the floor from something else, so I can really stick it in here and size it up how I want. Come around. Why am I setting up the brake when I was talking about doing the derailleur? Who knows, but I like it. Usually I do this without the toe straps and turn the bars completely side to side to make sure I have enough housing, but I think this is plenty. It's as much as I ever want. I'm going to put a basket on this so I don't want it to be too big. A little tight's probably fine. Ooh, the pliers got little cutters. Maybe this will be fine. Wiggle, 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 and squeeze. Try to cut between loops. Clearly not. That cuts all right. Set that aside. So I don't know why I started with that, and I really want to start this derailleur. So I'm going to grab my matchy shifty housing. And a little piece back here. People like to make these loops so small and tight for whatever roadie reasons. And that usually just makes them bend and kink and mash and mess up your shifting back here. I like to make my loops real big. It should be real nice and straight for an inch or two coming out of the housing. And the only way to do that is to make a huge loop. People say they get caught on stuff, it'll be a problem. It never has. Maybe the short loops are for mountain bikey stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. Long loops for me, bro. Now sometimes, when that's upright bars and stuff, I do crisscross applesauce. We'll have the cable come to the wrong side. I'm not gonna on this. This is a 1x. Let's keep everything straight. Sometimes the position of the bottom bracket, cable guides and weird stuff will mess with that. That's pretty short, but probably long enough. Cut it just a little longer than I think. Now the shop I always had a bench grinder. Turn it on, put this on there, and bzz, 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 until it's nice and flat. Here I don't have room for one, I don't want to spend the money on one, so just kind of hand file them. I'm trying to cut it real flat. And just pushing only, don't drag back and forth as dull as your file. Trying to get this stuff real flat and debris and burr free. You also need a pokey tool for doing cables and housing. Saving old dead spokes and grinding on a bench grinder to a nice point makes a good pokey tool. You can do a little round bend to the top. People get little beads with their initials on them, put them in it before you bend it around, and so everyone can have their own little pokey tool. So this housing is in external plastic wrapped around a bunch of little stainless steel tubes. And then there's a little internal sleeve as well, with some lube in it. I'm doing is poking that internal sleeve open, make it real easy for the cable to flow through, make sure there's no burrs anywhere. Doing that on both the shift side and the derailleur side. Doing it on both the brakes. Making sure everything's real cool. And your shift housing mostly comes with these indexy shift ferrules, these plastic ones. I think they're stupid, I think they break. The shop would buy every old wheels manufacturing metal one I could find, save all the old good ones. But I got rid of all that stuff like an idiot, so I gotta use them. And with my nice big long housing runs, they'll probably be fine. So the trick is to push them all the way on, make sure they're actually all the way on. And then also tap them on a hard surface. Otherwise you're gonna set your shifting up and it's gonna be fine. Then you do a hard shift or pull that cable with all the tension out, and it's going to move a little bit, and you readjust everything, then you do it again, it's going to move a little bit more as it keeps seating in. So you really want to get these dudes seated. I like to grease the threads in the barrel adjuster for one, then roll them all the way in and back them out a turn or two. Just in case you set up too tight, you got a little bit more room to let it back out. Really? This cable stop? What? That's interesting. Why, Schwinn? Why is this cable stop extra small? It's telling me I'm going to need to do something different. Find an old ferrule, find a smaller metal ferrule that actually fits like I want. Okay. Well, this old Schwinn has an undersized braze on for the rear derailleur cable stop. So I looked everywhere. I don't really have a lot of cool stuff anymore, like adapters and step-down things, and it will not fit anything except for a regular 5mm housing. So Tomcat was still open. I might run down there and see, but who knows. I guess I really could dig through everything. I thought I did. Looking for random kits and weird old cable stops and things. I'm going to direct you to Decision it. I'm just going to go ahead and put brake housing on here. I'll put shift housing up there. It's old 7-speed. It's a wide throw. It's probably lots of room to play around. I bet it'll shift totally fine. I definitely set bikes up with brake housing and wear braze-ons even with index shifting and had it shift fine. So we will see. It's my bike. I can change it anytime I want. Who cares? Boy, that is a long loop, bro. I said long. I got long. It's probably be stiff enough. Really pushing these ferrules on. Tapping it. bike is really fighting me. Last few days went so well. Today's like, So maybe I should just give up. I should get a magnet out and search this carpet for that screw. I really do want it. All the way in. Oh, that really rocks in there too. I think this thing was made for 5mm. It's a little braze on. I do have some 5mm compressionless. Guess I could use that. If this really gave me a hard time, I got the dark gray in 5mm. Worth thinking about. Okay. Get this cable in, make sure everything is set. Give it a little snug down. Loose as a goose. Caught up on the toe strap. Well, the toe strap plan's been biting in the ass all day. Pull this cable, let's make sure everything's seated. It's way loose. Got one click on the shifter. Turn this barrel adjuster so it pops up one. So it is shifting perfect. I did lube this old shifter up, and as I'm playing with it more, it seems like it's shifting better and better and better. So it's probably fine. It'll probably wear in with the lube a little bit more and more and more, but definitely, especially the down click's real crisp. Almost. The up click's a little bit weird. It feels like the pawl or spring's not quite really clicking into place. But it really has a throw if you want to do multiple gears, and I can get in one click and get all the way up to 7 from 1. So that's pretty dope. V-tension's in all the way. Still not as much as I want, which is real common with every old Schwinn derailleur ever for whatever reason. Probably needs to be lubed up some too. Didn't actually overhaul this derailleur at all. I just sort of dropped a little bit of lube on some of the pivots and things. It'll need to go around the block a few times for it to kind of work its way in. Get pivotty. Shift's pretty good for crusty old stuff. Isn't overhauled. But as the lube wears in, it'll get better and better and better. It's alright. Let's start. Yank it one more time and see what happens. Beautiful. And it's got the barrel adjuster on the shifter. And it's got the barrel adjuster down here. Both I can reach, so I can trim it while test riding it. Woo! I crawled on the ground for a minute and I found a little set screw for the shift lever. So we can stay pro. Not be all weak and cool and lose parts and think that we're cool because of it, which is totally uncool. Oh, what a terrible design, Shimano. Really, Shimano's jerks. Just everything is right in the way of fixing this back in. You can't even get a screwdriver in there. I'm shifting all the way up in easy gear, so I can try and pull this shifter down to make room to get the screw in. I'm going to try a pocket screwdriver. So I found a little pocket screwdriver. Buy every weird tool you find, grab it up if it's cheap. You never know you're going to need it. And just barely got it fished in here and tightened down without it knocking around being too fat to fit in between the brake body and that little shift blade like a regular screwdriver. So that's good. So I'm running this rear brake cable. It's got the little top tube guide, so I'll run all 3 of them into there. I'm going to pinch this brake to make sure it's plenty long. You see, real long, real tight. A trick with these is as you brake over and over again, these will sort of vibrate their way up and pull tighter and tighter towards the front and make this brake get real tight. You have to pull this back once in a while. The trick is you can also make a little donut loop with some electrical tape. They used to stock all sorts of fun colors of electrical tape for just exactly doing this. Pop this out, slide this down, we're going to get around it. We're just making like a doorstop basically, a little donut loop. It's just making it thick enough it's not going to go past that braze on. So gently stick on it. Tight. Another trick is a lot of these old brakes aren't designed for ferrules. So check and see. If it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. The little barrel adjuster is basically a ferrule on its own. I take this toe strap off just to make sure I didn't cut this way too short like a chump before I set it all the way up. Oh yeah, it comes around. It's tight, but it's fine. Nice and loose, but totally fine. Alright, good guess. Bought this weird 10-pack of generic Taiwanese stainless brake cables off the eBay. Haven't tried them yet, so pretty exciting. Yeah, it'll probably snap and kill me. I mean, really, the cheapest cables in the world, I've never seen the head break off of one. They only break from being over-tightened and, you know, wearing for years and years and years. Oh, it's so smooth. So nice. See it poking out the back? Might as well guide it in while it's nice and short. This lever's got the split guides. Pop her in, run it through the split stops. I got a little bit in this barrel adjuster, a little bit in this barrel adjuster. You basically pull these brakes about as tight as they'll go with just my fingers, just pinching the pads together. Come squeeze this brake. It's real tight. Stuff will seat in. All right. I'll run the barrel adjuster all the way in. Pretty good, man. We'll do some brake centering and adjusting later. Give myself a few inches. Like my heel wouldn't hit it. I wouldn't even cut it. I mean, it's so short. But I only want a few inches. I'm going to cut a couple off. I'm going to go ahead and use black cable tips since we went with the silver housing. We've got little black accents on this bike. And this is the way I like to do this. No matter what anyone says about what's pro or what's better, this is the best way of doing it. They will not come off. And they look fine. Let's push it on. One real tight squeeze. Same thing. Push it on. One real tight squeeze. Great. Everyone does little clippy things and weird things and they just slide right off and your cable's fray. There's nothing pro or cool about that. Okay, let's look at this back brake. It's definitely offset. I do have my old school park tool. This reaches in and grabs the springs on old brakes. If they have little center adjusting wrench flats, this will grab those, usually. And this is way too big. Different ones. This is a 13 and a 10. I think this is 10. Yay, 10. So I'm going to see if I can move the whole brake, center it. Without moving this fender too much. Nailed it. First try. Equal amounts of space between the pads and the rim on both sides. The fender didn't seem to move at all. Which is a miracle in this style, the bolts onto the brake. So now we just got to get the pads, the height correct for the rims. With this style brake, the caliper swings in. So you can see as it swings in, it swings up. So you want to set the pads about as low as you can on the rim, so as they wear, they'll come up and up on the rim but not hit the tire. But not so low that they hang over the rim at all as they start to wear. Otherwise you'll end up, instead of being totally flat against the rim, you'll end up with a little lip. As you keep going, the lip will get worse and worse and worse, so the lip starts grabbing the rim when you brake and not let go, so your brakes are dragging. It's very annoying. This one's down like a millimeter. It can really go up just the tiniest little bit. We also want to make sure the pad's hitting flush on the rim and not all weird, so one side's way low, one side's way high. Just what it's kind of doing. It's going to want to do it no matter what, so I have to fight it a little teeny bit. As I twist, it's going to turn, loosen, wiggle it up just a millimeter. Sometimes I want to bite to where they've been tightened before. The aluminum will get dug in a little bit, you know, from the bolt tightening of the brake pad. They don't really want to go anywhere else. And there's not a lot you can do to force it. Sometimes you gotta get a file out and take off any little lips or burrs. This style braking pad, this old one, doesn't have any toe-in options. And this side and this side are both reverse towed a little bit. So everyone in the world will tell you, you gotta toe your brakes in. So the front has to be closer than the rear, otherwise it'll squeal. That's like a decent starting place, but I always test ride the bikes first. Sometimes totally flat's cool. Sometimes towed in's cool. Sometimes towed in squeals and shudders like crazy. Sometimes towed out's cool. And if they do squeal and they do shudder a lot, I mess with one at a time. So I'll tow one in and see if it makes it better or worse. If it makes it better, I'll tow the other one in, see if it's better or worse. Tow it back out, better or worse. And do one brake at a time, just the front, just the rear. Otherwise you're hearing all four pads squealing. You have no idea what's really going on. So that's the start. I guess we'll throw this front brake on with a temporary lever so we can put the front fender on and test drive this dude. Got my old Sun Tour Superb front brake lever, which I love. I probably would have used on this if I didn't use these guys. Nice short little run. And I saved this. A lot of the cables from the kits are double-sided to save money. So it can work either way. So front brakes are short, so there's a lot left over for a whole other front brake. It's like getting 2 cables for the price of 1. It's the same thing. I got a lot of barrel adjuster showing, or a little bit of barrel adjuster showing in both. So I pull this down about as tight as it'll go. And it should be plenty fine. We got lots of barrel adjuster, tighten more if we need to. Hella tight. Let's roll this guy in and see what happens. And we were smart and made sure all the stuff's span free and put some fresh grease on it before we started doing this. So we didn't get here and realize everything's frozen, it has to come apart again. Now I would set it up, but I think we got to move to the front fender. There's no point in getting the brake all adjusted and then realizing that you got to take it all apart, put the fender on, and then get it all out of whack again. So get this all the way off. Take the wheel out, slide everything around, not drop parts everywhere. This front fork is a little bit tight, which I'm not happy about. Slide the brake on the fender. Nope, we gotta be on this side. And it's got a concave washer, so I gotta move that. So everything's gotta be in the right order, otherwise it can cause problems. So I got brake, through this fender bracket, concave washer to go up against the fork, through. Now we can put the recess nut on. And for some reason, front brakes hate recess nuts, and they're like impossible to get started. Look at it, make sure it's angled straight. Oh, there we go. Push this fender all the way up to start. Sometimes fenders like this, the bracket's so tall it'll hit the headset and cause drag. Sometimes you have to get them up high enough. You gotta take it back off, grab some little needle nose pliers, and bend this little fender bracket, a little top down a little bit so it clears that headset, doesn't cause friction. Sometimes. Doesn't seem like this time. The old wheels fit this fork perfectly. I wonder if this one's slightly wide, or if the old ones are slightly narrow, because they're weird Schwinn stuff. What I'm really wondering is if I'm going to have to pull this fork out and align it. And I don't want to, so this thing rides straight. I'm not gonna. It's barely weird. Oh yeah, I like that clearance. That's plenty. No sweat. And I think this M5 by .08 little stainless steel bolt fell out. But luckily, I am saving everything. The last few swap meets, I bought people's random old little bags of random hardware, because I don't really have a lot. And you'd be a fool not to, because I need it for cases like this. So here is a perfectly matchy stainless steel M5 bolt for the other side. As you can see, these are on upside down, so you lose these little set screws. So I'm going to flip these around. I'm going to flip them side to side, so the set screws are on the top, so they don't fall out when they come loose. People love putting fender stays on under tension. think it's fine, but it can cause things to crack or be weird, or if one comes loose, it'll jag the other one into your tire. So I like to get stuff on and pinch it to bend the stays right into place so there's no tension. So I'm just holding this guy so it doesn't bend or put these under more tension. Tighten this one down. And see this gap? I want to get the gap even. Pull it up some. So it's about the same amount of tire showing up here as down there. Really, you should go a little bit more up here, so anything that can get in, be dragged with the tire, get up inside your fender, has room to get out. So a little bit tighter down here than here is really the smartest way to be. And I want the same on both sides. So these are still loose, so I'm pulling it around. And look at it from the front, see how much is sticking out. Looks pretty good to me, as good as it's going to get. So now I'm going to tighten down these set screws. Tight. Except for something's wrong, because I can't turn the wheel. And it's just the brake pad. Woo! Okay. Brake was real cockeyed. We hadn't straightened and adjusted it yet. Now the fender's cockeyed, move the brake over. This is the trick with stuff that shares a bolt. A little bit of a fight to get everything straight. Bending this whole stay to straighten it down here, so there's too much tension anyways. That looks good. 28s. Redonk. Make sure these pads are centered. Real close. Sort of hold them tight. Tighten the back bolt, hope nothing moves. They both look like they're hitting at about the same time. Fender still looks straight up here. Looks straight along this width down here. Fender still on straight. Looks straight coming off the front. Same thing with these pads. Just shimmy them up into place just high enough. Just straight enough. If you really got to fight these pads, every time you try and tighten them down, they move. You can get a crescent wrench. Pretend like this pad's a bolt. Hold up the crescent wrench. And hold it straight or bend it straight and then tighten it down. These ones seem to be biting pretty alright. Now I only had 2 black cable narps. So we're going to do silver on the front for now. Maybe we'll grab a black one or a Tomcat next if we remember or ever think about it again or care, which we probably won't. But Jenga. So technically, the Nothing Special bike is done, but it's not. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around and do double checks, make sure the hub adjustments are correct, make sure the brakes are tightened down, make sure all the safety stuff, make sure the bars are tight, stem straight and tight, make sure the headset's adjusted and tight, make sure the brakes are this right level, make sure this thing's actually safe to test ride, make sure the wheels are in tight, and then do that next, and then we'll take it on a test ride. I mean, we'll throw a saddle on, then we'll take it on a test ride and see what's up, and then we'll pick some grips. These fenders are definitely missing their mud flaps. They got little dorky holes. So maybe I'll show you how to make custom mud flaps out of some old like binder plastic, with thin binder plastic, or old water bottles. Anything that's got a little bit of rigidity to it. So you usually trace it on cardboard, flip it over, trace it, cut it out, and just have some dorkiness going on. Keep your feet actually dry. When I do real rando bikes or touring bikes with much longer fenders like Honjos, I'll sink this part of the fender down several inches past the bottom bracket shell as well to really just keep you're changing everything muck-free forever. This fender was not designed for it, and there's not clearance, so I didn't bother with this one. We still have to find a rubber band that fits that. So I'm lining up the front tire and the stem. Yeah, pretty close, making sure it's tight. Make sure I like the angle of these bars. You really want them parallel with the earth and about 1 degree down, which they are. Stem bolt, tighten this stem bolt. Let's see, the saddle's crooked and probably way too high. And has no grease on it. Put it down to about where I think it's going to go, the right height. About a fistful. And we're going to check this headset tightness. I'm going to grab the front brake. Oh, that was surprising. Okay. Maybe I forgot to tighten this bolt. I thought we just did. Maybe we need to tighten it more. Maybe I loosened it. Alrighty tighty. Alright, back to the front brake. Yep, fork is still moving. Let's see if we can twist this without it messing everything up. No more play. It's still real smooth. Cool. You just twisting this top nut, move the lock nut just enough. Still no play. It's probably fine. Always double check the headset after a test ride. Same with the non-drive crank, because those like to move sometimes. Oh, we're gonna make sure the brake levers are about angled the same, if they're not. So I have to stare down the handlebars and line them up with my eyes. The brake lever, and you line up the gap, and make them both the same on both sides. Front wheel. Sure seems plenty tight. Let's hope it's tight enough. We'll find out the hard way if it's not. And I'm going to wash my hands and we're going to test drive this bike. The brakes are definitely need some cleaning and sanding and adjusting, so we'll do that 5-6 times to get them to stop squealing, hopefully, or maybe switch to some different pads if we have to. But other than that, I really like it so far. As soon as we get those squeals out, we'll take it for some more test rides. It's starting to get dark, so maybe it'll be tomorrow or the next day. Yeah, I think I'll put a little medium-sized black-walled basket on this. I think that'd be cool. And start riding it. You hear all the tings of all the little gravel hitting those fenders. Forgot what metal fenders sound like, so I've been riding my 26 with no fenders for the last year. Just ting, 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 ting with all the little gravels. But yeah, shifted perfect. Everything's cool except for that horrible, horrible, horrible squealing.